Here we go.
If you want to see real, raw me right after a Cowboy game, I right here, right now recommend that you watch my live react that I posted yesterday right after the wildest finish to a Dallas Cowboy game I can ever remember, the craziest finish under the circumstances I can ever remember. Go check it out if you want real, raw emotion of the moment. But now that I've had a night to sleep on it, I'm here to tell you I'm actually horrified by what happened yesterday as a lifelong diehard Cowboy fan, because my worst nightmare, my greatest long-term fear, is that Dallas will get on some kind of a late season roll that will allow Jerry Jones to justify keeping "Please drop the Mike McCarthy" for yet another season, and I can't bear the thought of it. Mike McCarthy should have been fired after last season's playoff-ending debacle of a loss, the embarrassment, the humiliation of a loss to Green Bay in the home playoff game in which the Dallas Cowboys trailed 27-0 before halftime. I can barely say the words. I still haven't processed it. I still haven't put it in the right place. I still have PTSD over that loss. And then all the many home debacles and nightmares and humiliations that we've experienced this year. I don't know why we've been much better away from Jerry World as we were yesterday. But just to frame what happened yesterday, once again, Mike McCarthy did not have his team ready to play yesterday against your historical arch rival at Washington. It was another nightmare of a game for me to watch, but fortunately, Washington danced with our devils that we brought to Washington. Washington actually was a partner in the nightmare. As I said on the live, we couldn't lose for winning because Washington wouldn't let us lose. They played as sloppily and poorly and haphazardly as we did. And the result was, it was 3-3 at halftime, thanks to special teams blunders on both sides, thanks to blunder after blunder on both sides, thanks to, in our case, we had 3 big drop passes at key moments. Brandon Aubrey, the greatest kicker ever, I've now put quotes around it, had his first field goal blocked, not all his fault, but it was just a little low off his foot. He actually somehow pushed a chip shot field goal to the right and hit the right upright, so he missed a field goal. We got a punt blocked. We had 2 or 3 key penalties at key moments, one on the rookie from the University of Oklahoma, Tyler Guyton, at left tackle, that negated a big gain, big completion by Cooper Rush. We had a blunder to start the second half when Brandon Aubrey, the greatest kicker ever, managed to hit one so poorly, so nonchalantly, that it didn't make it to the landing zone and gave Washington the ball at the 40-yard line. We scored 34 points while going 2 for 11 on third down. But here's the punchline to a game that we weren't ready to play. We somehow led 10-9 going to the fourth quarter, and the final score was 34-26. It's impossible, because the truth was that 41 points got scored in the last 8 minutes and 11 seconds of the game. And here's the worst. Here's the anti-Mike McCarthy point of the day. The Dallas defense in the fourth quarter gave up 223 yards to Washington. Jaden Daniels struggled the whole game. I don't know if his ribs are still bothering him. I don't know if it's Cliff Kingsbury's offense that finally they always catch up to Cliff Kingsbury in November and December. It's happened everywhere he has been, college and pro football. It's why his record isn't nearly as good as his reputation. And I do think he's worked wonders with Jaden so far. But Jaden has really struggled throwing the football for the last 3 games until the fourth quarter yesterday. And I'm not sure I'll ever quite get over the hail Jaden moment with 21 seconds left when he throws a ball that I thought would be up for grabs to McLaurin. And it was right on time for him to actually run under it and bolt through the Cowboys secondary. And it was like nobody wanted to tackle him. You going to get him? No, no, you get him. No, you get him. Nobody got him. And he's off to the races. I'm saying just somebody knock him out of bounds. All you have to do, the game's going to be over. Just knock him out of bounds. And he scores. And then as I went crazy on the live yesterday, Austin Seibert misses the extra point. Guy I used to root for, school I grew up rooting for, the University of Oklahoma. He was the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year in 2018 at Oklahoma. He's got the Washington record, 7 field goals in a game, and he's coming back from injury yesterday after missing a couple of games, and I don't know what happened, but that happened. He missed the extra point. It was a bad snap. He went quick. He duck hooked it, snap hooked it left. And then we caught the onside kick, Wanye Thomas, and returned it for a touchdown. The second kick we returned for a touchdown in the last 8 minutes and 11 seconds because obviously with 2:49 left in the game, Kevontae Turpin, the best returner in football, so I do have the best kicker and best returner on my side, went 99 yards with one that he fittingly muffed. Doesn't it always happen? He muffed. He had to turn around, pick it up at the 1-yard line. He wheeled back, and then he hit him with a 360 spin, the likes of which I haven't seen all year. I'm not sure anybody in this league can do that. That 360 spin just inside the 10 that left them in the dust, and he hits a crease out to the left side. The flank is uncovered, and he was off to the races. And I thought that was going to be it until Hail Jaden happened. 223 yards in the fourth quarter, we gave up. So of all the Washington-Dallas games I have watched, and I've been watching them since I was 10 years of age, it was the poorest played Dallas-Washington game in the history of the rivalry on both sides. I don't have enough time. I could keep you the rest of the day telling you all the things that went wrong for the Dallas Cowboys. So many bad shotgun snaps from the rookie BB. I don't know. They're high, they're low, they're left, they're right. And yet, in the end, Cooper Rush is playing without his 2 best offensive linemen. He's playing without Zach Martin, a cinch first ballot Hall of Famer at right guard, and he's playing without Tyler Smith, who is the whole left side of the line, their best lineman as a younger player now. You're playing without both of them, and Cooper Rush manages, even though there were 2 of 11 on third down, that happened in large part because of 3 big drops. Cooper Rush manages 0 turnovers, only 1 sack. 0 turnovers and only 1 sack. That's how you win football games. You can call it game manager if you want. I just call it stability. I call it making the right play at the right time to win the game on the road at Washington. They were 7-4. We were 3-6. We're now, we're 3-7. We're now 4-7, which brings me to the closing schedule. Okay, look, is it possible with Cooper Rush at quarterback we could get on one hot roll? It's possible. We're that talented. If we can start to get some players healthy, if we can get the linemen back, if we get Brandon Cooks back, if we could get Jake Ferguson back. Remember, they didn't play, and Cooper Rush still did that. So we've got the Giants on Thanksgiving. Should we win? Sure, we should win the game. They quit on defense yesterday because the franchise pull the plug on their franchise quarterback. No Daniel Jones. I admired them. I envied them because they were able to say, gone, out of here, because he doesn't cost that much to pull the plug on. We're stuck with Dak. So I don't really care about playing for a draft pick here, because if the draft pick were going to be a quarterback, you got me. But it's not going to be a quarterback because we're stuck with Dak, the highest paid player in football history. So the Giants are saying, well, what do we have to play for on defense? So they don't show up against Baker and company yesterday, and they're down 30-0 before you can say boo in New York. So here they come for Thanksgiving. We should win the game. And then we've got a little break, a little mini bye for Cincinnati at home. I already watched Cooper Rush beat Joe Burrow in a Sunday night game at home. This is a Monday night game at home. Could he beat him? Sure, he could beat him. Cincinnati struggles on defense. They're one of the worst in the league on defense. Sure, we could win that game. Then we go to Carolina. Sure, we could win that game. Then we got Baker and company, Tampa Bay, at home on a Sunday night. Could we win that game? They got Mike Evans back. Well, it'd be tough, but sure we could. Then we go to Philly. The only way we could win the game at Philly is if they're coasting. If they just keep winning, if they win their next game at Ravens, and then they just keep winning. They got a very favorable home closing schedule. But we have the third easiest closing schedule in the NFC. So, I mean, is it possible we could go in there and upset them? We should have been leading at halftime, except the blinds weren't drawn. Remember the sun in CeeDee's eyes? We should have been leading Philly at halftime at home. Cooper Rush threw what should have been a touchdown pass that CeeDee lost in the sun at home. Late afternoon, Jerry World. Way to go, Jerry. Congratulations. And then we finish with Washington at home. Could we beat? Sure, we could. We managed to beat them yesterday. We played pretty well on defense. I liked our defense better without Trevon Diggs. He gambles, he clues, he jumps routes, gets beaten a lot. All of a sudden, we got Deron Bland back. All of a sudden, we got Josh Butler emerging on the other side. We got Jordan Lewis. We just looked better yesterday. Jaden Daniels had a hard time throwing against our defense. But the point is, in the end, what if we, I don't know, I'm flipping out. What if we won out? What if we got all the way to, wouldn't that be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We got 6 games left. I mean, could we get to 10-7? That'd be a playoff team. I was reading USA Today this morning, and they still have us as in the hunt for the playoffs at 4-7. I'm saying, in the hunt? How? But that's how, because we got an easy closing schedule. Okay. Could we get to 9-8 if we lost at Philly? Okay. Would that maybe slip us in the back door? Maybe. I had it as 8-9, but that was with Dak, because I don't trust Dak, but I do trust Cooper Rush. But in the end, I do not trust Mike McCarthy. And my worst nightmare would be having to go into next year with Dak Prescott at quarterback and Mike McCarthy back as the head coach, who did not have his team ready to play a game yesterday at Washington. Now on to the Eagles. Eagles 37, Rams 20 out here in LA last night. I hope you saw it, because it was a spectacular Hollywood show put on by, oh, say, can you see Saquon? Whew, going for 255 yards rushing. Oh, say, did you see my preseason prediction that the Philadelphia Eagles, I have hated since I was 8 years of age, were going to win this year's Super Bowl? Well, they are. I warned you. I will say this. I hated for them. They lost Brandon Graham last night to a torn triceps for the rest of the year. Hated it. He's a good man. He's been a very good player for them. He's 36 years of age. Probably this is going to be his last year, but he was has been a force and was a force last night. Had a sack and 3 quarterback hits. I thought he was dominating the game. And all of a sudden they said he's out. Really? Torn triceps. Can't get over that one. Done. He'll help coach them, but that's I'm not going to say it's a huge loss, but it's a loss for that team, at least if nothing else psychologically. But now back to the bigger picture point. Eagles GM Howie Roseman won free agency, and Howie Roseman won the draft. While all-in Jerry Jones was all out of touch, he let his Cowboys, my Cowboys, drift into ruin somewhere down in salary cap hell. So think about this. Derrick Henry, who lives in Dallas in the offseason, went to Baltimore for a grand total of $8 million a year. Saquon signed with the Eagles for a grand total of $13.5 million a year. So what did Jerry Jones do? He put all of his Fabergé eggs in Dak's basket. He made Dak Prescott the highest paid ever. He gave him $50 million just for this year alone. That's almost $27 million more than Saquon makes. Saquon is leading this league in rushing. Derrick Henry is second in this league in rushing. Oh, yeah, I did forget about this. Jerry did bring back Zeke, who's averaging about 20 yards rushing a game. Last night alone, Saquon had TD runs of 70 and 72 yards, while Zeke averages 20 yards a game. So I predicted before the year, Eagles win Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts wins MVP. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm sure you agree, Saquon is now making his case. So what just happened? The Giants publicly shamed and disrespected Saquon Barkley on Hard Knocks, as you probably saw. And all of a sudden, right before your very eyes, he's revitalized just down the New Jersey Turnpike with a division rival who welcomed him with open arms. Now he feels wanted. Now he's running angry. Now, to my eye, Saquon Barkley appears to be running faster at age 27 than he ever did in New York. I never saw this kind of burst from him in New York. I guess that chip on his shoulder pads isn't slowing him down one bit. So I still have Josh Allen for MVP, but Saquon is closing in on Josh Allen. I will admit to you, I do have a quarterback bias when it comes to MVP, because quarterback is so much harder to play than running back. But I will give you this. Saquon has changed the way the Eagles play football. They now run the ball with such physicality and with such breakaway potential because Saquon has completely changed the way he plays football. When Saquon was a Giant in the Big Apple in New York, he fell into the trap of being a little too cool to do the grunt work, to fight for the hard yards. In New York, Saquon was strictly a home run hitter. My producer, Tyler Korn, and I used to get a kick out of drilling down on Saquon's Giant stats, because if we took away his longest run each game or his longest catch and run, what did we see that was left? A lot of minus ones, a lot of no gains, a lot of 1 yard runs. So when you took away the home runs, you found a whole lot of tippy-toeing for gains that averaged around 2 yards a carry. What you saw was a lot of, oh, there's nothing here, so I'll just give myself up and I'll go down easy and I'll wait for some big daylight. That's why the Giants never really went anywhere with Saquon as their running back. He was far more scat back than running back. He wanted no part of pounding away at defenses because they just might pound back. He was all Barkley, no bite. But the Eagles' bully ball, their style, their culture, it's rubbed off on Saquon. Did you watch him last night? He was running hard. He was often making his own holes. He was powering through Rams. Heck, he was ramming Rams. He was stiff-arming Rams. He was punishing Rams until they said no mas, and finally let him escape for a 70 and a 72. Let him run right up on Josh Allen's back bumper in the MVP race right before your very eyes, live on Sunday Night Football. So why do I still give Josh just a little edge? Josh Allen, I said I'd never say just his first name. He's Josh Allen. I give Josh Allen the edge, just a small one, because he did outplay Mahomes head-to-head again, and because so many critics thought that Josh Allen would get exposed without Stephon Diggs, and because Josh Allen has literally cleaned up his act. He's gone from a career high in turnovers last year to only 5 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles so far this season. So 18 touchdown passes to only 5 interceptions as the Bills have climbed to 9-2. He now beats his opponents far more than he beats himself with wild hero ball turnovers that used to just drive me crazy. I so greatly admire what Josh Allen has become. And please forgive me for this. I am a truth teller, but I cannot forget what Saquon did or didn't do against the Falcons. Remember week 2, game number 2 for the Eagles? Jalen Hurts hit Saquon with a little flat pass that would have iced the game against Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, and he dropped it. Flat out dropped the game. Door left slightly ajar for Kirk Cousins to pull off a minor, I don't know, maybe it was a major miracle. But I'm here to tell you, if Saquon keeps this up, if he does outplay Derrick Henry in a game that will be my Super Bowl preview next Sunday in Baltimore, and if the Eagles do win that game, I don't think they will, but if they do, hey, if the Eagles win out, if they've now won 7 in a row, so if they win their last 12 in a row, which is certainly possible given this team's strength, man, it is going to be hard to not crown Saquon MVP. And I'll say it again. The Eagles are on their way to being crowned in New Orleans on Sunday evening, February the 9th. I warned you. Quick break for a little breakfast of champions. Nectar of the gods. Diet Mountain Dew. Okay. I must admit, I was shocked when I read that the Green Bay Packers had let Aaron Jones go in favor of Josh Jacobs. I still believe that will prove to be a huge mistake for the Green Bay Packers. Look at Aaron Jones' new team now. Vikings are 9-2 to Green Bay's 8-3. That is no coincidence. I know Aaron Jones a little bit. I like him a whole lot. He has great spirit. He has a huge heart. Aaron Jones is a natural-born, big game, big play maker. Aaron Jones is a winner. Aaron Jones has killed my Cowboys in the 4 games he's played against them. Averaged 122 yards rushing per those 4 games. That's 6 yards a carry. He scored 9 touchdowns in 4 games against my Cowboys because he wanted to be a Cowboy as he was growing up in El Paso, played at UTEP. No. They said no. And he said, watch this. So, I can't argue with Josh Jacobs' age or his size or, heck, with his production so far. He's almost 4 years younger than Aaron is. He's 25 pounds heavier than Aaron Jones is. Josh Jacobs now leads the NFL in runs between the tackles. He's 3rd overall in rushing. He has 944 rush yards to 798 for Aaron Jones. But if you look at their combined yards, because Aaron can flat out catch it and run with it, they're pretty close. Josh is only about 50 yards ahead of Aaron Jones in total combined yards run and catch. It's 1,130 to 1,083. Josh got pretty good money. Josh went to Green Bay 4 years, $48 million. That's $12 million a year. Aaron Jones got 1 year for $7 million to go to Minnesota. That might have been the steal of the offseason. Minnesota's already won at Green Bay. In total yards in that game, Aaron Jones had 139. Josh Jacobs had 78. Yesterday, in big wins by both teams, they both had 106 yards rushing. But right now, give me that guy up in Minnesota. That guy will be missed in Green Bay, especially in the postseason. Now, speaking of Green Bay, the warm weather Dolphins play up at Lambeau on Thanksgiving night in the cold. Same Dolphins that have won 3 in a row since this guy named Tua made so many commentators look so foolish by unretiring. Remember when so many bleeding heart media members said, "That's it, poor Tua must never play football again. Never again. He must go. He must go home, poor Tua." By the way, I said just the opposite. And look at him now. Dolphins won at the Rams. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Patriots. In those 3 games, Tua is 8 touchdown passes to only 1 interception, completing 74% of his passes. Yep, it's been a lot of dinking and dunking as it should have been before. Ball's coming out much quicker, fewer deep shots to his track team of receivers, fewer scrambles, nothing head first on scrambles. I've even seen him slide a couple times. And he's going a lot more to his new security blanket, Jonnu Smith, his tight end, as he should have before. So, just for the record, maybe you'll remember this. My problem with Tua was what I expressed before he got drafted. Reportedly, he had had 5 surgeries in his time at Alabama. 5 surgeries. That's just too many. Brittle, fragile, injury prone, and that's not to mention the concussions that he had at Alabama. And finally, the arm's just not big enough for me. Just not big enough. He's not quite big enough. And so I just said, he's a great kid. Seems like he's a pretty great leader, but not for me. I wouldn't want that. The truth was, Brian Flores was right when he wanted to move on from Tua. Remember those days when it got so nasty ugly? He just wanted to move. He just didn't like what he saw. Tua obviously didn't like what Brian Flores was telling him. Unvarnished, straight, eye to eye, just don't believe in you. Tua is now fired back, but Flores in a tough position as the defensive coordinator up in Minnesota for having criticized poor concussed Tua. But in the end, Brian Flores was right from the start. Then again, all the bleeding hearts out there were wrong when they tried to live Tua's life for him. Here's the point. If Tua went to the doctors and got all the information, got second and third opinions, if Tua sat down with his family, especially with his parents, and went through all the possibilities, considered all the nightmarish risks that he would subject himself to if he came back to play, then if the NFL doctors cleared him to play, I said from the start, that's his choice. That's just up to him. The risks are there. We all know them. He knows them way better than we even know them. And if he's willing to accept them, the same risk that every NFL player really has to subject himself to, I'm good with that. That's his choice. That's his life. All I know is if he says, this makes me happy playing football, risk or no risk, I'm good with that because I'm not going to live Tua's life for Tua. Quick sip of dew. Okay. One of my favorite subjects. So many people say, I'm a LeBron hater. And I say, I'm the only one in sports media that tells the truth about him, great and bad. And I'm constantly amazed by how hard the LeBron worshiping media works to protect him by ignoring so many of his classic failures. LeBron eclipses Aaron Rodgers as the most overprotected superstar in sports history. Eclipses him. So, forgive me, you billions of blind witnesses. I just can't let this one slide. You'll probably go into hear no evil mode. La 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 la. You don't want to hear any of this, but you'll listen, and you'll grind your teeth, and you'll know I'm right. I dare you to tell me I'm wrong about this one. This happened last Thursday night out here in L.A. at the Crypt. This game was not on national TV. I watched it locally on the local Lakers station out here in Southern California. Didn't finish until, I don't know, around 1:30 in the East. But it was so vintage LeBron James. Lakers playing Orlando. Orlando does not have Banchero or Wendell Carter Jr. Lakers had won 6 in a row. They had to win this one. You come on, you just got to take care of that business at home. So, with 8:27 left in the game, LeBron hit a 3. Then he started feeling it, and he came back down at 7:47. They dared him to shoot another one, and he made it. Crowd erupts. Another possession. Here we come. 7:23. LeBron says, heat check, kaboom. And he bombs home another 3. And Bill McDonald, the Laker play-by-play man on television, says something like, I won't quote it exactly, but it's pretty close to this. Don't you ever, ever, ever doubt LeBron's clutchness in crunch time. I know there were 3 evers. Felt like it was aimed at me. And my reaction sitting on my couch next to my wife, Ernestine, was, huh? Wait a second. It's just the middle of the fourth quarter. Crunch time? We're not even close to crunch time yet, right? Okay, so right on schedule, LeBron goes cold from 3. He only tried one more and missed it. 39 seconds left. LeBron had 2 free throws to put the Lakers up 4, which would feel dagger-like. And he missed the first one, right on schedule. As I always say, they're called free throws for a reason. You get to stand there 15 feet away, unguarded, and make a free shot that counts 1 point. LeBron, for his career, is a 74% free throw shooter. That ranks, since he came into the league, 682nd all-time. This year, he's right on his career average at 74%. That ranks in this year's NBA 177th. It's LeBron bleeping James. I mean, this is the leading scorer in the history of the National Basketball Association, and he's only a 74% free throw shooter. That's mind-boggling to me. LeBron's always boasting about getting in the lab. He puts in the work. Well, why hasn't he ever put in the work to improve his free throw percentage. I mean, Jordan wasn't a great free throw shooter, but he was 84%, which is a quantum leap from 74%. And obviously, Bird and Magic are up there around 90%. KD up there around 90%. And I've referred to this stat many, many times in my career. Since LeBron came into the league on late and close free throws, he's the worst since he came into the league. By far, he's the worst. But who's counting? Who cares? All I hear is just leave him alone. Leave him alone. Sweep that under the carpet. Let's go on. Okay, so in this Orlando game, then little brother followed big brother to the free throw line and played a little can you top or bottom this. That's AD, Anthony Davis, went to the free throw line after LeBron at 27 seconds left. He missed one out of his two. Then he goes back to the line, did AD at 19 seconds left, and he missed both of them. LeBron setting the tone for little brother to miss 3 out of 4. And Franz Wagner, who, trust me on this, he's turning into a star. He goes down and bombs a step-back 3 on Cam Reddish. That gave him 37 for the night, and that suddenly gave Orlando a 1-point lead. So the Lakers are inbounding on their end of the floor with 2.5 seconds left, and they are down 1 point after don't you ever, ever, ever doubt LeBron in crunch time. Oh, okay. Who knew? And I immediately tweeted from my couch, drive it, LeBron. I say it until I can't say it anymore, until I'm purple in the face. Drive it, LeBron, because you're the greatest driver of the basketball ever. Nobody can stop you from getting to the basket. They're going to have to, at best, foul you. And you're going to have to go to the free throw line and at least make 1 out of 2 to force overtime. That's the play. But you know and I know, or maybe you won't acknowledge it, won't let it compute, but LeBron has always run from those do-or-die situation shots at the end of games. The do-or-dies, not game tied when you got overtime in your back pocket, not up 1, not those are different, but he's got the highest IQ in basketball. You can argue highest IQ in the history of basketball. He knows he's calculating way ahead. He's 2 moves ahead of you. He doesn't want any part of do or die. He runs from the late game free throw line because, as I've said a billion times before, blind witnesses, he just has no clutch gene. So what happens on the play? J.J. Redick said there were 2 options. That was one of them. And the one was the ball gets inbounded to Anthony Davis, who looks for LeBron, and obviously it's 2.5 seconds, and he is forced to take a step back, fall away, contested 3-point shot that, I don't know, it missed the rim by 4 feet, air ball. Guess why that happened, ladies and gentlemen? Because if you call up this play and watch it, I dare you to tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong. LeBron, as the ball is inbounded, just sort of moves into the middle of the floor, into all the bodies congregated in the lane, and just kind of leans up against somebody as if he's weirdly setting some kind of off-ball pick. I don't know what he's doing. But you know what he was doing. He's hiding from the basketball. He's acting like he's some kind of decoy. He's no decoy. He's LeBron bleeping James. He was probably the first option on that play. He hid from the basketball. It was just shameful, and it was blatant, and I immediately called him on it. But did anybody but me tweet about this? I don't know, but I doubt it. I don't follow anybody, but I doubt it. But, you know, I got dismissed as, you're being unfair. You're being hypercritical. You're nitpicking. Well, the nit I'm picking is the size of the Kobe Bryant statue. That's a big nit I'm picking. You know and I know that team was crushed over the fact that its its face of the franchise, its greatest scorer in the NBA history, didn't come to the basketball. It drained a lot of energy out of that team that it lost at home to Orlando. It didn't have to play back-to-back. It got a day off at home, 2 nights later at home. It came out flat and lifeless, did the Los Angeles Lakers, against a Denver Nuggets team that I watched on Friday night play a hellacious barn burner of a home game and lose to Dallas in a tightly contested finish, and then have to fly to LA and play back-to-back against the Lakers. This should have been big advantage Lakers at home, but it wasn't. They were flat. They were lifeless. They looked drained. They looked uninspired. I believe because their leader had failed them on Thursday night at home. They've now lost 13 of the last 14 to the Denver Nuggets. And they lost the other night because starting in the third quarter, they gave up at home to Denver a 50-17 run. A Denver without Aaron Gordon, they gave up a 50-17 run. Just shameful. I love this Lakers team. This Lakers team is, especially if it could get everybody healthy. Still don't understand what's happened to Jared Vanderbilt, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. He just still sits on the bench every night. And Civies, I don't know what's happened. Where did Christian Wood go? I don't know what happened. But if they could get them healthy and in the rotation, this is a deep, very good basketball team that on any given night has a top 5 player in Anthony Davis, who did not play top 5 basketball against Denver. Looked like he was uninspired because of Big Brother. And on any given night, it has 2 top 10 players because LeBron is still playing at a top 10 level until he hides from the last shot against Orlando at home. The Lakers, ladies and gentlemen, should have won 8 straight games. But LeBron didn't embrace the pressure, as he says in the TV ad that you've no doubt seen. Embrace the pressure, LeBron. Don't hide from it. Quick sip of dew. Okay, 2 weeks ago, I kept hearing Caleb Williams is a bust. And I did a commentary right here on this show saying, what? If you don't like Caleb Williams because he paints his nails, because he doesn't look and act like a franchise NFL quarterback should, okay, fine, you got me. But I'm here to tell you, as I did 2 weeks ago, this is a special athlete and playmaker with a big clutch arm. Furthest thing from a bust I can imagine. So yes, the Bears did fire their coordinator. They did elevate Thomas Brown, who does seem to click better with Caleb, and vice versa. But come on, Thomas Brown, he bounced all over college football. He's bounced around in pro football. He was Carolina's coordinator last year. So let's not give him savior status just yet, even though he now has Caleb doing exactly what I said he has to do, which is get rid of the ball much quicker. You just got to let it fly. He's now from 2.9 seconds holding the ball down to 2.4. That's a quantum leap in quickness. He's throwing the ball on time the last 2 games with Thomas Brown in his ear. It just looks better. So the last 2 weeks against Green Bay and then at Minnesota yesterday, Caleb Williams has been spectacular in 2 narrow losses, resulting in part because of 2 blocked field goals in those games. So he now has 11 touchdown passes to only 5 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles. That's pretty great for a rookie thrown into the quarterback fire from day one. But I must point this out here, right now. As pretty great as that is, there's another rookie quarterback lately playing at an even higher level than Caleb. And I don't mean Jaden Daniels, who, as I mentioned earlier, has struggled throwing the football in his last 3 games. No, I'm talking about the quarterback who went 12th overall. I'm talking about Bo Nix, who maybe you haven't noticed, has thrown 16 touchdown passes to only 6 interceptions with no lost fumbles. Bo Nix's Broncos have won 4 of their last 6 to get to 7-5. And over those 6 games, Bo Nix is second in the NFL in passing yards. He's second in the NFL in completions over those 6 games. That is pretty great. Now, is Bo Nix a better quarterback than Caleb Williams? No. Ultimately, Bo Nix's ceiling will prove to be lower. But after so many commentators said Caleb has fallen into the best situation any first overall pick quarterback has ever fallen into, I'm here to tell you, Bo Nix fell into a better one than Caleb did. So remember, Bo Nix started for 3 years at Auburn in the SEC, 2 years at Oregon in the Pac-12. That's a whole lot of high-level football. Then he was handpicked by one of the greatest NFL play callers ever in Sean Payton. And he was dropped into an offense whose pass blocking is graded second best in the NFL by Pro Football Focus as we speak. And he's got a big, strong target in Cortland Sutton, who's turning into a top 5 receiver. And finally, Bo Nix is backed up by a defense that Pro Football Focus ranks 5th best in the league. Okay, that's a pretty great situation. In Denver, Bo Nix is surrounded by stability. While in Chicago, Caleb is adrift in dysfunction, starting with a head coach who probably won't be there next year. And he's stuck with an ownership, the McCaskey family, that forever has given this franchise a reputation for being the bad news bears. So Bo Nix fell into the perfect spot. He's now a happy, comfortable extension of Sean Payton on the field. In Chicago, Caleb is just trying to figure it out on his own for a franchise that hasn't had a bona fide star at quarterback, I'm not exaggerating, since Sid Luckman retired in 1950. Chicago eats its young quarterbacks. It's huge advantage, Bo Nix. And for that matter, Jaden Daniels has a big advantage with the new Commanders regime, Josh Harris in charge. It's stable. It's right. Magic's advising. All of which is why what Caleb Williams is pulling off with the Bears, with the Chicago Bears, is even more impressive than I first thought. Okay, Draymond Green. Draymond Green has proven again last week he's the dirtiest player in NBA history. No exaggeration. Dirtiest player in NBA history. This time he tripped Memphis rookie Zach Edey as Edey tried to run up the floor. Draymond was down on the floor, and he clamped his arm and elbow over Edey's ankle and just tripped him. 7'4" Edey tripped and fell. The NBA later upgraded that to a flagrant 1. It was not reviewed at the moment because refs often look the other way on Draymond's dirty plays because there's just so many of them and because he's just so popular. So Memphis coach Taylor Jenkins said Draymond broke a code with that trip. And I thought, Taylor, he's been making a mockery of that code for years and years. Then Draymond responded to Taylor Jenkins on Draymond's podcast, said Taylor Jenkins got over-emotional in defending his rookie center, which made me laugh out loud. Draymond Green is the single most over-emotional player in NBA history, always on hair trigger to go completely over the emotional edge and cheap shot an opponent, which he's done again and again and again. So remember when Draymond got thrown out of game one at Memphis a few years back, and he took that crazed victory lap all the way around the arena before he left? That wasn't emotions run amok. Just go on YouTube. It just takes 3 or 4 minutes. Just go on YouTube. Watch the endless Draymond cheap shot compilations, the groin shots, the kicks in the balls, the stomps, the trips, the elbows to the face, the chokehold on Gobert, the spinning MMA shot to the head of Nurkic over in the corner. I mean, seriously, do you think these are funny? Because I don't. But do they make Draymond even more popular? Yeah, I must admit they do. Draymond is yet another player overprotected by the media because he's part of the media. He already works for TNT. He's managed to become a beloved villain, like this is somehow pro wrestling, and it's the NBA. Draymond Green has a split personality, an alter ego. Off the court and interviews, he can be extremely likable. I like his interviews. I like his podcast. But then his likability and the fact that he plays with the supremely likable Steph Curry and he plays for the immensely likable Steve Kerr, all that makes people just roll their eyes at any incident and say, that's just Draymond. It's always something with Draymond. As if it's all just fun and games, and it's not. The something with Draymond is that he's the dirtiest player ever. Tell me I'm wrong. Since Draymond entered the league, he's tied with Russell Westbrook for the most technical fouls. No surprise. And his 21 ejections are the most by 7. By 7. So if Draymond were a villain off the court, if he were sour and dour and he refused to be interviewed, he would have been out of this league a long time ago. But he's become a huge TV and gate attraction because fans are fascinated by what he might do next. Fans and reporters love him in interviews. They love his Shoot from the Lip podcast. They love him on TNT because he just lights up. Great off-the-floor personality. Alter ego, Jekyll, Hyde. So Adam Silver obviously suspended Draymond for a month last season. Supposedly Draymond got some help. And he came right back, and pretty quickly he began to engage in the same old gray area activity on the court because he knows he can. He has been so dirty for so long that refs get numb to his cheap shot antics, and refs can no longer figure out exactly where to draw the line on Draymond. Draymond, as you know, has never been a star stat-wise, even though he has been a very valuable guts and glue player for a dynasty built on the finesse shooting of Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Draymond's been Golden State's point forward. He's been their high IQ pick setter, especially for Steph. But he's also been a crazy cheap shot artist, dirty as they come. Enjoy. So, quick sip. I'm taping this on Monday morning. Harbaugh brothers coach against each other in the Harbaugh Bowl out here in LA tonight. And I just have one big, quick thought. I'm here to tell you Jim Harbaugh is a much better football coach than his slightly older brother, John Harbaugh. Jim is a great offensive play caller, former Pro Bowl quarterback in the NFL, who was obviously a much better player than Brother John ever was. Jim, to me, has a lot of quirky, mad scientist in him. Jim just spills over with, exudes this never know what he'll say next sort of charisma, which made him a great college recruiter, a great college motivator, and a great culture changer. Players are a little fearful of what Jim Harbaugh might do next, but they believe in him and they follow him and they play hard for him, and he's already changed the Chargers culture in ways John never could have changed the Chargers culture, the 7-3 Chargers culture. John, as you know, was a former special teams coach. He is a good, solid, stable, meat and potatoes man. Very even keel, never too high, never too low. But he was very fortunate to have landed 17 years ago with a franchise with a strong tradition, strong management, strong ownership, strong player personnel department led by the great Ozzie Newsome. John was so blessed to have Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and playoff Flacco. And yeah, he did beat Jim Harbaugh's 49ers in that one Super Bowl in February of 2013. That was a long time ago. Since that Super Bowl, John Harbaugh's Ravens are 3-6 in the postseason. Not good enough. Some of that's Lamar's fault, not good enough, but ultimately, buck stops on John Harbaugh's 3-6 desk since that long ago Super Bowl. Jim Harbaugh has been spectacularly successful wherever he's coached. University of San Diego, Stanford, obviously Michigan. Coached the 49ers to 3 straight NFC championship games and that Super Bowl that I thought the 49ers got robbed in. Last pass to Crabtree, that was pass interference. Should have been called, wasn't called. But guess who had the guts and vision to bench first overall pick Alex Smith at midstream that year and go with this kid named Kaepernick? That was Jim Harbaugh who did that. John is a good man, a good, solid football coach for a great organization. Jim Harbaugh is just a great coach. So, every year before Thanksgiving, I always give you my 2 cents on how to approach eating or maybe overeating. This is just my simple philosophy. You can take it, you can leave it, you can call me a stick in the mud if you want, but I learned my approach in my many, many years in press boxes all around this country, heck, all around the world, many of which had all-you-can-eat buffets. What did I learn? Have a plan. Have a plan for Thanksgiving dinner. Decide in advance you're going to have, 3 servings of turkey and dressing, then stop. Not 4 or 5, just 3. Whatever side dishes you have that you love, decide you're going to have 2 servings each of those side dishes. No more. Let's say pumpkin pie is your dessert. Have a plan. You're going to have 2 pieces of pumpkin pie, period. That's it. Then just tell yourself you'll have a turkey sandwich in a couple of hours and push away from the table. Have a plan. Protect yourself with a plan. Respect yourself with a plan. Avoid gluttony with a plan, even if it's a gluttonous plan. You'll like yourself a lot better on Friday if you just have a plan on Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving. That's it for this episode. Thanks to Tyler Korn for producing, to Ernestine for overseeing, and of course to Hazel for approving.